Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome to another Moralis tutorial video. My name is Vasily, I'm your Web3 instructor, and today we are going to check the Get Transfers by Block endpoint for the Moralis API. This endpoint gets transfers of NFTs given a block number or a block hash. So at the end, we are going to have something like this. Here I'm going to paste a block number for the Ethereum chain, which is the default. You can select another EVM compatible blockchain, and the limit, which is going to determine the amount of items the API is going to return to us. So let's click on Get Transfers, and as you can see here, we got all the information we want. The block number, the log index, the sender, the receiver, and also the transaction hash. We can always check on a block explorer like Etherscan. So if you want to learn how to accomplish this, keep watching because we are just getting started. If we go back to the API reference and set up the same block number and click on try it, we are going to get a response like this on a JSON format with the same information I just showed you and on other items you may find useful. We can get this response on different programming languages. For today's tutorial, we are using React.js on the frontend and on the backend Django as our Python development framework. So I'm going to copy the code Moralis provide us and let's give it a try. So here on my Django project, I have a new empty script called services.py. I'm going to paste the code, and with just this small portion of code, we are going to connect to the Moralis API. And we need to provide some parameters. First of all, our API key. And if you don't have a Moralis account yet, this is the time of the video, you hit pause, go to moralis.io and get your free API key. Here on your admin panel on Web3 APIs, you are going to have it, so I'm going to copy mine, go back to the code and paste it over here. Let's use the exact same block number for the same blockchain. The subdomain is just used if you are running this on a local blockchain or testing locally, and I'm going to set up the limit on 10. And that's it. So let's try if this works properly. In your terminal, please be sure you have Moralis installed with pip install Moralis. And once you have it, we can run the script with Python services.py. And as you can see here, we got the actual response of all the NFT transactions for that specific block. And remember, the amount of elements shown here are based on this limit. So this works properly. But of course, we won't want to use the exact same block number every time, or the blockchain, or even the limit. So I'm going to transform this into something more useful for us. So basically, I'm going to take this and transform it into a function which is going to take the block number, the chain, and the limit as parameters. And with the magic of addition, we have our function ready. Additionally, remember that storing your API key into your code represents a security risk, especially if you want to push your code to a code repo like GitHub. So I'm going to change this and convert it into an environment variable as well. And that's it. This script is ready to be used on the backend. So let's do it. I'm just going to copy this function name, get transfers by block, and on the views of my project, I'm going to import that script. So from .services, import that function. So here in a new view called get transfers, which is going to take the input parameters this function needs from the frontend through this request variable, I'm going to set up those variables here. The chain is going to be equal to request.get.getChain, the same for the block number, and the same for the limit. But remember, the limit is an integer, so we have to parse this into an integer as well. So in here and closing parentheses here. Now we are ready to use this get transfers by block function. So NFT transfers going to be equal to this function, and the auto completion already set up the parameters here. But just to be cautious, we are not going to use positional arguments, but we are going to specify each one of them. So block number equals to block number, chain equals to chain, and limit equals to limit. Now this function is going to give us this response we already saw, but this response is a Python dictionary and JavaScript is not capable to understand it, so let's transform this into a JSON. So JSON transfers equals to JSON.dumps NFT transfers, and the only thing left is to return this JSON transfers. And that's it, this view is ready. So let's copy the view name, and on the URLs of our project, let's add it as a new path. And as we want to use relative paths on the front end, be sure to give it a name. And of course, remember to import the views from your application. And this is it for the backend. Now we have this endpoint called getTransfers we are going to use to connect to this view, which is going to trigger the services.py, which is going to use our Moralis API key. On the front end, be sure you add a proxy on your package.json with the IP address of your Django server. In our case, we are running it locally, so localhost in the port 8000, and also install Axios to be able to connect to the backend. These input parameters, block number, chain, and limit, are already connected to this params variable I have here, which has inside of it chain, block number, and limit. And as you already know, these are the input variables we need to execute our function. So let's send them over to the backend. So here on a new function called refresh NFT transfers, which is using Axios to connect to the backend, let's connect to that endpoint. So get transfers, question mark, and the auto completion is good enough to understand what I want to accomplish. So let's do it. And as you can see here, I'm sending over to the backend the block number, the chain, and the limit. If everything goes well, I want to have a console.log of this response. Also, this refresh NFT transfers is going to be triggered every time we click on this get transfers button. So let's give it a try. Let's open the console. We are going to use the same block number for the Ethereum chain and the limit on 10, so get transfers. And as you can see here, we get the actual response. And here on the result tab, we have all the information we want, such as the block hash, the block number, the sender, the receiver, the token ID, the transaction hash, and more information you may find interesting depending on your use case. So the only thing left for us here is to take this JSON response and show it down here as I showed you at the beginning of the video. So on the front end, instead of just using this console.log, we are going to use this set NFT transfers and send the rest.data.result. This set NFT transfers is going to modify this NFT transfer variable, and I already have here a function called rendered transfers, which is going to map to that NFT transfers and take the most important information, such as the block number, the log index, the sender, the receiver, and also the transaction hash. So let's give another try. Let's paste here the block number for the same blockchain and the same limit, and click on get transfers. And boom, we have the exact same response as at the beginning of the video, with the block number, the sender, the receiver, and the transaction hash. If your blockchain is not Ethereum, well, no problem. Let's use another random block number for the Polygon network, get transfers, and we get all the transfers for that specific blockchain. This was really easy, because remember, with just this small portion of code, we were able to connect to the Moralis API and get all the information we needed, and in almost no time. How cool is that? That was it for today's video. Don't forget, all the code for this lesson is on the GitHub repo, so don't forget to check out the video description, and also click here to learn more about Moralis technology and see more videos. I'm serious. Click it. Do it now. Go ahead. See more videos. You did it? Nice. See you on the next occasion. Bye.